Blog Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Jets Radio, the fan series. This is your host, Tyson Roush, and this is something completely new. What we're doing is we're just interviewing fans. Right now, it's a very quiet time in the NFL, and the one thing about our show is we like to give everybody a platform to just express themselves, talk, to get their thoughts on the team, their thoughts on being a fan, their favorite players, or anything else. So we're trying this out. We're trying out new software, trying out a new microphone. So there's a lot of new stuff here. So it doesn't sound as good as it should. I'll take the blame for that, but something we're just trying. So this show is going to be super, super interesting because one of the most popular callers on our show is my good friend Steve. Good, bad, or otherwise, everybody always wants to hear his call, always wants to hear his takes, and here he comes, the man himself. Steve, what is going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Tyson? What's going on?
Well, first of all, thank you for your very valuable time. I know you're a busy, man, so I appreciate you making time for me.
No problem, man. Absolutely.
So, Steve, before we go into all this football talk, what made you a Jets fan?
What made me a Jets fan? Well, it kind of actually goes back to, now, I wasn't really a fan of football back then as a kid, but as I got older, I remembered, I think it was when I was in 5th or 6th grade going into elementary school, and I remembered a bunch of friends that I had, they always were talking about, like, with Jets football and stuff. And then, that was back then, like, in the 2002 season. Like, I remember that season when Chad Pennington had that. Remember when the Jets got off to that horrible start at the beginning of that season, and they managed to find their way back, season 9-7. And then, that last game of the year against Green Bay was absolutely remarkable. And, I always remembered watching, not only Chad Pennington play, but Lavernius Coles, Wayne Corbett, when Jumbo Elliott and Kevin Mawai were on the offensive line. And when Sean Ellis back then played for us. And I just remembered, how great the Jets were. And of course, forgot about Curtis Martin. I remember watching them all play. I was like, my God, this team was great. And, that's how I became a fan of the team. I love the colors, also love the colors of green and white.
What's your favorite part of being a Jets fan?
Definitely meeting a lot of new fans, going to the games, especially like I'll tell you this, my first Jets game was actually in 2005. That was a horrible season, unfortunately, for us, because that was the year when Pennington went out with that shoulder injury. And then Vinny Testaverde was our quarterback, but he was past his time by then. And that was also the game when Brooks Bollinger came in, and he almost led that comeback against the Chargers. That was my first Jets game. Even though the Jets did lose that game, I still had a great time. And that was actually the very first time that I ever learned about the JETS chant.
Okay, so then if you're starting out, like, who's your favorite player so far?
Currently or
just all time?
Past? If I had to pick probably my favorite New York Jet player of all time, it would have to be Wayne Corbett.
Okay, and then what is your favorite Jets memory so far?
Well, my favorite Jets memory, if I had to pick, there's so many I would like to think about. But, I remember now, even though I wasn't at that game, though, the final game that was played at the old Giants Stadium, when the Jets routed the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football. And it was actually the first ever Sunday night game the New York Jets ever played on. That was the game when we wiped out the Cincinnati Bengals 38-0. And the crowd was unbelievable in that game. And I was a senior in high school when that game happened. I was like, oh my God. I honestly wish that these days, hopefully when things do get back to normal, that we have that same crowd that we had many years ago.
Yeah, that night was cold, man. It was so freaking cold that night. It was unbearable, but it was definitely a lot of fun though, because they won, so it makes it all worthwhile. What is it?
Yeah, didn't they say, Tyson, if you were at that game, by the way, wasn't it like 10 degrees at kickoff?
It was freezing, dude. It was so cold. We actually tailgated at my friend's house. We tailgated there and then went to the stadium. It was just too cold to sit in the parking lot. We had on Carhartts and it was just brutal. So, Steve, you've been a part of the fan base for a little while. How would you describe this fan base, man? Because I think there's times it's bipolar. I mean, it's just a crazy bunch. How would you describe this fan base?
Here is the thing of when I look at this fan base. I mean, listen, this is a fan base that has suffered for so many, many years. And I mean, we haven't had a Super Bowl since 1969. And, it's a very, very, very long time ago. And, I mean, listen, I understand that, I know Jet fans are very impatient. I mean, it's the city of New York. It's one of the toughest medias to deal with. But, I mean, but the thing is, though sometimes, when I meet some of the passionate Jet fans, sometimes, when you look at the fan base, at times it's so incredible to be around. I remember, meeting you and Jay and even Joe through the show and even a lot of the other fans where we've had the event. It's so much fun. And even especially meeting Fireman Ed, that's one of the greatest things to have as a Jet fan when you meet Fireman Ed.
No, Ed's a great dude, man. This fan base. It's not as big as people think it is, but it's a very loud, a very proud fan base. And you're right, dude. We're frustrated, man. It's just we're tired of losing. We're tired of a lot of things. We just want to win a Super Bowl. We want to win the division. We want to do all these different things. And it's funny you mentioned the media. What is your impression of the Jets media? Because over the last week or so, or 2 weeks, they've been getting blasted a lot for a lot of different takes on things. Do you think the media has an agenda, or are they just trying to get clicks? What do you think about them so far?
I just think, what? It's just the media at times just wants to get attention. It's like, listen, we're going through this really, really struggle. The media just wants to do this to just get attention. I think they just want to get attention. And at times, even when the Jets do something really, really, really good, they just crazy when they do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I have a lot of hot takes in the media, but this is going to be about you this time. So, Steve, we got through the draft, we got through free agency. If you look at this offense, what do you think of the offense going into training camp so far? What is your impression so far?
Well, here is the thing, though. One thing I'll say this. I mean, now I wanted to get a chance to compare, from what I saw in Joe Douglas's first draft compared to Mike Maccagnan's draft area. I'll tell you one thing, though, with Joe Douglas. The one important thing that he had to do in the offseason so far was the work on the offensive line. Because, last year, having 9 to 10 different starting offensive lines last year in 2019 is unacceptable. I mean, we had a lot of injuries, and, at times we had a lot of prone players that were very, very injury prone. And unfortunately, Tyson, what happened with that was it was one of the biggest weaknesses. I mean, we were seeing Sam Darnold run for his life throughout this whole entire time. But, I mean, the offensive line had definitely improved so far in this offseason, and hopefully that will be something to see on the field. Now, as for the receiving corps, listen, I know that was the second biggest thing we had to do, and luckily we did that in the second round. I mean, we'll go over the draft too. But, the moves in the offseason with some receivers as well. And I got to be honest, with where we're at right now, it actually is kind of a good thing that we did move on from Robbie. I mean, listen, Robbie Anderson wants to play for his old coach. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Why is it a good thing? So you think Perriman's an upgrade over Robbie Anderson?
I'm not saying Perriman is an upgrade, but with the addition of Denzel Mims now, I mean, I love the Denzel Mims pick, but we just got to see what happens with the receiving corps. The only thing I would have said was with the draft was that the Jets should have gotten another receiver. I mean, listen, Robbie, I could understand where he was coming from because he wanted to play for his old coach. We had to move on from Robbie Anderson. But, at the same time, we got to see. Now, I mean, hopefully what I see in the offense, though, it's definitely better
but Steve, hold on.
With the line.
But see, I agree with you about the offensive line. The offensive line should be better. They have better talent. They have better depth. I completely agree with you there. The injuries, I'd like to know if the injuries were the players or how they were being coached, because the injury bug seemed to follow Adam Gase wherever he goes, but we'll stay off that for now. The wide receiver group, as a group, you may or may not like Perriman. You have Crowder's good, Mims, Doxson, Berrios, Vincent Smith. How would you categorize this group? Is it a good group, a mediocre group, like an average? How would you categorize the Jets receivers?
If I would have to say where the group is right now I would just have to say it's average right now. I'm not going to say it's good, which means I'm not going to say it's going to be. However, though, I still think that is something that we definitely do need to work with Sam for the future.
Okay, and then if you look at the running backs, obviously Le'Veon Bell should be better behind this offensive line. What is your thoughts on bringing in Frank Gore?
You know, I mean, here is the thing. Frank Gore is definitely a very, very interesting pickup, and I can understand why Frank Gore wanted to actually play for the Jets, because when Frank Gore did play with Adam Gase in Miami in 2018, because I guess what it was that Frank Gore definitely did have a connection with Adam Gase, and he liked his offensive system. And the one thing that definitely does bring is definitely some good veteran leadership at the running back. Because then you got Frank Gore and Le'Veon Bell.
What is Le'Veon Bell? Isn't Le'Veon Bell a veteran? Like a veteran leader?
Yes, I mean, he's a veteran too. What I was going to say is those two guys together can also make, what's his name, the guy who we drafted, LaMichael Pirine, a really good running back as well.
Are you worried about Frank Gore taking reps away from Le'Veon Bell?
That is the only thing I am a little bit concerned about, if Frank Gore does take reps away from Le'Veon. I mean, hopefully, listen, Adam Gase said that he's actually now really excited to have Le'Veon Bell and Frank Gore work together. But the one thing that Adam Gase has to do this season is he's got to use Le'Veon Bell more. I mean, he was using Le'Veon Bell more towards the end of the season. I did see that a lot towards the end of the season when Adam Gase was using Le'Veon Bell more. What he did to Le'Veon Bell towards the end of the season is what he has to do in 2020.
Okay, so now we pretty much covered all. I mean, the tight end position, Chris Herndon coming back is a big deal. You got Ryan Griffin. I mean, they have some talent there. This offense, with all these improvements, what is your expectation? I mean, they were last in the league last year, so they got to get better from that. I mean, the only way is up. So, but how much better can this offense be this year, in your opinion?
I think it will be better. The only thing is that, listen,
top 20?
I'm going to say this right now. There are other offenses in this league that are better than the Jets. I'm hoping, really, really am hoping that this offense could move into a top 10. I'm not saying a top 5,
10?
but hopefully a top 10.
Top 10 in all the NFL?
Well, I'm not saying, well.
Dude, top 10 in all the NFL?
If you want to say that, yes.
I didn't say anything. You're saying it. I was shocked. I'm happy to make top 20. You're saying top 10. Listen, Tyson. I'm just hoping, though, that Adam Gase just this year coaches a better offense, because we can't have a bottom-ranked offense like we've had the last few years, because it's just unfortunately when you have a bottom-ranked offense, you're not going to score points and you're not going to win games. Fair enough. Okay, so now we covered the offense. Defense, they've added a lot of corners, man. I mean, and they may even get Logan Ryan, which probably not in my opinion, but what's your thoughts on the defense?
All right. So now we go to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, listen, the thing that was the interesting pick that we had on the defensive side of the ball was when we got Ashton Davis in the third round. I mean, that was part of the Leonard Williams trade. I mean, did you like the Ashton Davis pick, Tyson?
Initially, I didn't understand it because I wanted to go receiver and other positions. But now, after looking at it, it makes sense, especially if they're not going to re-sign Marcus May.
Because and also other things that he could also do is not only play defensive back, but he can also play kick returner. Because I don't know if you've ever saw his highlights. I think when he was in California, that was he was actually known at times for his kickoff returns.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it gives Greg Williams a piece. He's so versatile. So he's versatile, May's versatile, Jamal Adams. You can use them as moving parts. Defense, like I'm not gonna lie, it's a pass. It makes a lot of sense. But what are your thoughts on the cornerbacks? Like Bryce Hall could be a great pick. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, here is the thing, and the thing with Logan Ryan is, I mean, I mean, it's just Jet fans definitely got up to that, I think, on Monday when everybody all thought, oh, we signed Logan Ryan, but Logan Ryan is still open-minded. But, I mean, when you look at the corner position, I mean, the corner position was a desperate need that they needed on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, because, look, we released Darryl Roberts and Tremaine Johnson, and I mean, obviously, they definitely did that thing in the last round, which was the last thing they did in the draft when they got Quincy Wilson. I mean, I think it has improved, but we got to see what happens on the field.
What are your thoughts about pass rush?
Pass rush, the guy who they drafted, I can't pronounce his name right, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's the guy from Florida. He definitely has some potential to be a very good pass rusher. The only biggest concern was going into when I read about him. He does have issues with his ankle, unfortunately. His ankle is one of the biggest issues that he has. But when he is healthy, he does have potential to be a good pass rusher, and it also helps out for Jordan Jenkins as well.
Okay, so will this defense be better than last year, do you think? Or they could be better, but the rankings not be as good because they're playing against better teams?
Do I think it's going to be better? It has potential to be better. I mean, if everybody stays healthy on the defensive side of the ball, because remember, C.J. Mosley is going to be coming back, and that's another thing. And, depending on, the thing with it was another player. But I think, though, when you look at the defensive side of the ball and it's under Greg Williams' defense, it definitely can be better, even though despite the fact that we have a tough schedule this year. I mean, we're going to see what happens, but I do believe it's going to be slightly better.
Okay, so then you seem like you're pretty confident about the defense. You have some confidence in the offense. Is there more pressure on Adam Gase this year to be a better coach, or more pressure on Sam Darnold to be a better quarterback?
No, I honestly think, and listen, Sam Darnold has the potential to be a great quarterback, but if I would have to say who definitely has more of a potential this year of who has to do better, it has to be Adam Gase. Adam Gase is the one that has to potentially be better, because I'm going to say this right now. I mean, listen, I'm not an Adam Gase guy. I still didn't like the fact of why we hired him back in January of 2019. But here is the thing. I am going to give Adam Gase another chance this year and see what he does. If let's say if the Jets have another bad season in 2020, and if we don't really go anywhere, then the Jets have to look for a new coach.
But what about, say the Jets only win 6 games, but Sam Darnold is playing great? Would that save Adam Gase's job?
See that's so hard because that's hard because when I look at it is that let's say if Sam Darnold's playing great, okay, good, but but you got to understand too, it has to be both offensively and defensively. I mean, that is the only thing that would be a concern, because remember when the Jets won their second game of the season last year, which was against the Giants. That I remember later on that week when the Jets were getting ready to play the Redskins that week. I remember that was when Christopher Johnson announced that Adam Gase would be coming back. I mean, listen. It's just I don't know about the thing with Adam Gase. At times I don't trust the guy, but I got to give him a chance and see what he does.
Okay, and you mentioned the schedule, and not to go through the whole schedule. For me, it's usually about the first 2 or 3 games. What are your thoughts on playing at Buffalo and then home for the 49ers? That's a pretty tough 1-2 punch there.
Here is the thing, though, and listen, the game against Buffalo, though, and you know what? I actually like the fact that we are going to get a rematch with Buffalo for the first game of the year. And to make it even better, what I do like about that game is that for the first game, we do get to play Buffalo in Buffalo to start the season. Start the season in September in Buffalo. I'm perfectly fine with that, even though we'll get Buffalo in Week 7 at home. But, I mean, it's a divisional game, And the one thing I will always say about the Jets, which is this, out of all the teams in our division, when we go to Buffalo, whether we're a good team or a bad team, the Jets do always play the Bills tough every single year. And I mean, listen, it's definitely going to be a tough first game because, the Buffalo Bills fan base is absolutely incredible, even though I can't stand their fan base because their fan base has just been very cocky in this offseason so far. So hopefully, for that first game of the year, Tyson, that the Jets can make a statement.
What about, listen, I think it's a big game because, it's on the road, it's a division opponent, a team that I think better than us. And then you have the 49ers, man. So it's like, consider Buffalo a must-win, or do you say you got to get a split between Buffalo and the 49ers?
I got to say this right now. It is definitely going to be a must-win. But at the same time, though, you always got to see if, let's say, even if we have training camp or if, let's say, if when preseason obviously starts too, we got to see where this team is at on the field. I mean, because after from all the stuff that happens, with the off season, then you got to see what happens like on the field. I mean, now the thing is for the home opener, listen, unfortunately, the NFL had to give us a tough game for the home opener, and that's against San Francisco. Listen, San Francisco was 13-3 last year. They're the defending NFC champions. But here is the thing that is going to be tough about this season, and it's not only it's always for the East and the West teams, and that is time travel zones. See, San Francisco has to come all the way from California to play us in East Rutherford. Now, the 49er fan base definitely has a big fan base. So, I mean, obviously with us Jet fans being at that game, there's definitely going to be passionate 49ers fans. But the thing that's going to be tough for San Francisco in that game is when they face us. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be a tough home opener for the Jets. But when you look at that thing with the time zone travel, I mean, San Francisco has to travel all the way to us. And, that could be something that could be an issue for them for that game when they play us. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. San Francisco definitely has a better football team than the Jets do. I'm saying that right now. They do. But, we just got to see what happens. I mean, listen, San Francisco, the first week of the season, they've got a tough game their first game of the year because, I mean, they're home the first game of the year, but they got a home divisional opponent in the Arizona Cardinals. But, listen, we'll see what happens as time goes on.
Okay, and then what is your expectation for the New York Jets this year? Like, what are you expecting? A very competitive playoff-bound team or in the hunt? Like, what is your expectation?
The way of how I see this right now is I would see the Jets. I'm not going to say they're going to be a competitive playoff team right now. I would like to see them be in the hunt. I'm going to say in the hunt. And the reason why I say in the hunt right now is because I want to see the Jets definitely play really tough against really good teams, like San Francisco and Buffalo. I mean, well, every time when the Bills and the Jets always meet, it's always a close and tough game. But the thing is, I want to see them compete against the really good teams and try to make it close with them and hopefully get the W. And the other thing that has to happen is this year, they can't fall into trap games because if, let's say, we go up against a really, really bad team at their place, it could be a trap game for us because, we could be so cocky going into that week and then, Harvey Sunday comes, we come out and we play as flat as a pancake. Yeah,
I mean, dude, this team has no room. I mean, as bad as this team has been for the last friggin' God knows how many years, there should never be a trap game. And they even had them last year, which was ridiculous. But I guess one of my last questions for you, Steve, is this Jamal Adams thing it seems like it's coming back again, where there's rumors coming out about he wants a ridiculous amount of money, the $18 million a year and all this other stuff. Do you think he's trying to price his way out of New York, or he's just making a statement saying, I want to be one of the highest paid players at my position? Like, how do you think this is going to play out?
I mean, when I look at the thing with Jamal Adams, and listen, I want Jamal Adams to be here, and I know Joe Douglas has even said before that he wants to make Jamal the highest paid player right now. I mean, obviously, we did hear about that Joe Douglas was going to have that discussion with Adams and his agent about what was going on. But I mean, listen. I mean, I know we're picking up his 5th-year option. I mean, this is his 4th season coming up. But I mean, I just hope that the only thing I could just say is I just hope that Jamal Adams does stay as a Jet. It's just I want Jamal Adams to be here. It's just because the thing is right now, he's honestly one of our best players on our team, and he's our best defensive player right now. And I mean, I know C.J. Mosley said this the other day through NFL.com saying that it would be crazy if the Jets would trade Jamal Adams. Like, C.J. Mosley wants him here. Like, I even remember the first game of the year last year, before C.J. Mosley went out with that groin injury, him and Jamal Adams had a really good connection during that first game. It's just that, I want Jamal to be here.
No, dude, listen, he's one of the best players at his position in the NFL. I mean, he's a rising star. He's young. He's in his prime. He's earned a big contract, and he wants it. Like, I can see what he's trying to do, but he doesn't have much leverage other than holding out. So it'll be interesting. So, Steve, it's good.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, Tyson, overall, though, what do you personally think of the schedule overall? That's my first question to you.
I don't really look at it as a full schedule. I usually look at the first 4 games. I look at the season in quarters and see the first 4 games and then go from there. I think it's tough, man. I think that Buffalo on the road is going to be very difficult because the Jets have probably 4/5 of a new offensive line going into that. You have a new receiver you're trying to incorporate. I'm worried about the offense just getting started on the road against a very good team. And then when you come back to MetLife, just say they lose the first game. MetLife, then against a very good 49ers team, you got to hope they have jet lag because they're good. They're physical. They're good. It's tough, man. I mean, I think ideally you want to try to get 2-2 out of the first 4. If you can do that, you'll be fine. Because they're going to have growing pains. They're going to have some, you have so many new players you're trying to incorporate. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely agree with you because if they go 2-2 in their first 4 games of the year, if they go 2-2, that actually would be good. Like a promising record. Now, I'm not saying the Jets in their first 4 weeks are going to go 4-0. Like, I don't see that happening. But possibly it would be a miracle if they would go 3-1 or 4-0 to start their season. But let's say if they go 2-2 to start the year, that's actually not bad. And I mean, and the thing is, what's toughest about the Jets' schedule is this year, because everybody was all talking about the time zone, because this year, not only do we have to go to the West Coast at times, but Buffalo, Miami, and New England have to do the same thing. And the thing is also, too, when you look at it, the only really times that the Jets do have to travel and be on the West Coast for 2 straight weeks is when they go to Seattle in Week 14 and at the Rams in in Week 15. So, and I mean, hopefully, that won't be an issue. Hopefully this year, it's just unfortunately when you got to deal with the time.
But dude, I don't like the schedule's the schedule. Like sometimes this team is the Jets. They got to overcome adversity. Like listen, because you have to travel doesn't mean you have to lose. Like this, like we've sucked on the West Coast for so long. I'm so tired of the built-in excuse. Like, oh man, this is going to be hard. Dude, find a way to win. That's it.
Yeah, that has always been a problem for the Jets in the past. I mean, because here was the thing. I remembered before it all happened, I remembered it was after the 2009 year. It was starting right after 2010. Even though I don't think, the Jets did have to go to the West Coast, I think, for 1 game.
No, under Rex they were terrible. Under Bowles they were terrible. Dude, they would get their asses kicked. I mean, some of the games weren't even competitive under both coaches. They were just terrible.
Oh no, I remember one of the games, Tyson, back in the 2015 season when we were playing against the mediocre Oakland Raiders, and we got our ass kicked in that game. I think we lost. I think it was 42-20. We lost in that game.
Yeah, it was horrendous. Yep.
It was. I remembered after that game, I was so mad at the team after that game.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, listen, the schedule's it's tough. You have better teams. You have a lot of traveling, but find ways to win, man. That's it.
Yeah, I know. But you got to find ways to win, and hopefully Adam Gase does that this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see, man. So, Steve, we gotta get rid of this rumor. Do you have a beef with me or anything, man? I thought we were friends. Like we're cool, right? We have no problems here or anything. I thought we were friends.
Yeah, no. Listen. No, listen. I mean, listen. We have our battles at times, but we're always all good, man.
I just like to bust your chops, man. I do this all in fun for entertainment purposes. I don't mean any of this stuff.
No. Listen. I understand where you're coming from. As a matter of fact, listen. I remember everybody all tells you on Twitter, "Oh, why are you bashing Steve for all this? Steve is such a great caller and all that stuff." And I mean, Joe says the same thing to you too. But no, listen, we always have our fun because the thing is sometimes when this team gets so frustrating to watch, we always have a good time bashing on each other.
Yeah, this was the first year in a long time that this team broke me, man. I couldn't take the losing anymore. When they were 1-6, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm so tired of losing. I'm tired of incompetence. I'm tired of bad coaching. It's just this year was rough. Thank God they ended on a bright streak, but oof, this was a bad year, man.
But now let me ask you though this question though. Now I want to ask you this question. So this year the Jets were giving 2 primetime games this year, and that's going to be the Thursday night game against Denver. And then the NFL decided to give us a rematch on Monday Night Football in Week 9 when we play against the Patriots. So and the good thing about both of those primetime games is that they're at home. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the Patriots are going to be interesting, man, because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be yet. Do they sign a veteran? Who's going to be quarterbacking them? The Broncos are a team on the rise. I mean, they got Drew Lock. They got a lot of young, explosive players. Listen, man, it's an opportunity to make a better case for yourself. Let Sam Darnold shine. Just make yourself a good team, and you're on a national platform, man. You know what I mean? You're on the big stage. Let's not see ghosts. Let's be proud to be Jets fans for once and play like a quality team.
Yeah, I know that Monday night game against New England last year, Tyson, was one of the most brutal games I ever had to watch. That Monday night game was so horrible, and you know what? Hopefully, when we do get that rematch this year against them, hopefully things will be better. Hopefully for that game. But I guess though, now the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Joe gave the show that you didn't make it to. Joe gave the Jets an overall B+ grade for the draft. What would you have to give the Jets in their grade as a draft?
I mean, I hate giving grades. I guess like a B. I didn't really like the quarterback pick there. I didn't like the running back where he was picked. I wanted another receiver. I'm hoping the pass rusher from Florida can actually do something because that's kind of what I wanted more. Like you got 2 linemen, which is great. The safety could be really good. I wanted another receiver and I wanted pass rushers, man. Like that's just really what I want. So we'll see. I mean, that thing could be a huge addition to the team. The thing about the draft that was the best though. But Joe Douglas navigated the draft beautifully. He traded back, got more picks, got the guys he wanted. He didn't get manhandled. He seemed like he had full control. He knew what he wanted to do, and you learned who his players were. He wants very athletic, high character, motivated guys. Like you could see what a Joe Douglas player is, which we learned, which I love. I love his blueprint. But you know what it is, and Steve, to be honest with you, not every pick we're all going to agree on. Like there's draft classes from the Eagles or like other teams. You're like, ooh, I didn't like those either. So. But the rhyme or reason behind what he did, I liked, and hopefully it pans out. Like, hopefully he gets guys that contribute this year. Like, Mims is a big pick. Like, when you only draft one receiver, you're putting a lot of pressure on Mims to produce. Bottom line. Like, this kid, if you draft, he's got to give us, 30, 40 catches this year.
Yeah, no. And here was the thing. The Denzel Mims pick was actually my favorite pick of that draft, of our draft, because when the Jets were picking at number 48, if you remember, I remember Seattle was really, really in desperate need. Seattle was in desperate need of getting a player that they wanted. And, Joe Douglas made the agreement with the Seahawks of getting that player, that giving them that pick. And then what Seattle did for us, they gave us 2 of their picks. And, I'll tell you one thing. I got to tell you, I was very surprised that Denzel Mims was on the board when we were picking at 59. I was really surprised that he was still on the board.
No, I mean they got players that we did a live draft show, and they got players like later on that people wanted a round or 2 before, like earlier. Denzel Mims they wanted earlier, so they got like really good value. I think they benefited by injuries where teams couldn't give physicals and couldn't work guys out. I think that probably helped them. They took some chances on players.
Yeah,
they got a punter. I mean they got some need, but to me I wanted another receiver. I just did. and they didn't. But it's fine. Like, listen, he still has time. There's a lot of moves can still be made going into the till training camp. Like, I still want Marcus Golden. I still sign another veteran receiver. Like, they can still do more. So, but as a Jets fan, you gotta like Joe Douglas did a good job, dude. Like, you feel comfortable with him. Like, he has like he's very well thought out. You can see it a blueprint. He was prepared. He did everything. He navigated the draft much better than McCagnon did. McCagnon kept making these trade backs. Like, what the? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And here was the thing. Now I'm just going to also say, too, if I had to compare from what Joe Douglas did to what Mike McCagnon did the last few years with us, what Joe Douglas did was 100 times better than what McCagnon has done. Because when McCagnon was our GM, he always went after players who were the best players available. Like, he didn't really care about, like, the need that the Jets needed, like the draft need that the Jets needed. Joe Douglas, on the other hand, did. And I'll tell you now, and then, of course, with the Mekhi Becton pick, I mean, Tyson, let me ask you this. Did you like the Mekhi Becton pick?
To be honest, I thought they were going to go worse, to be honest with you. But, I mean, the guys, he's like, we did, like, draft shows with Jeff Lloyd and Connor Rogers, and everybody's like, listen, man, this guy, his ceiling is off the charts, and he could be, like, a Pro Bowl guy for years, but you worry about how can he handle, like, against the run, he's fine. A run blocking is phenomenal. You wonder about against the pass, because he didn't really play against a lot of proven, commodities. How will he handle speed rushers? Can he turn his hips? Can he get around? How is he going to handle that? But his ceiling is so high, dude. It's like, how could you can't hate the pick. Like, it's impossible to be mad about it. Like, you can have a guy that you want, but if you don't get that guy, you still get Becton, who's a freak athlete. Just it's insane. You have to like it, dude. Like, it's impossible. You can't be mad about it.
What a lot of people said, and they were making jokes about this after when we drafted Mekhi Becton. The fans were saying in the second round, they should draft his father.
Hey, guy, but but here's the thing with the Jets draft, and like, Becton makes sense. They got another lineman in the 6th round, which is fine. But it's like, you improve the offensive line, but now it's like the playmakers around them. So now they added Perrine, they added Mims. I was kind of hoping for more, dude. Like, that is just like, I want speed everywhere, and it's like, okay, you have Perryman, I understand that. Yeah, you bring in Frank Gore, which to me is just, I mean, whatever. I guess I find it annoying, but okay. But like, I want speed. I want versatile playmakers all around Sam Darnold. That's what I want. And you want these guys to be here for a few years. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want one hit wonders here. I want guys here for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I know. No, I absolutely agree with you on that. It's just, I mean, here is the thing with Mekhi Becton too. Now, I mean, listen, Buffalo definitely has some good pass rushers that he's going to face the first week of the year. But then a real test is going to be in week 2 when he has to face Nick Bosa.
He's going to win trial by fire, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, when he's got to face Nick Bosa, that is going to be a real test for Becton. But I mean, I guess, the other thing, I guess I just wanted to say too, like going back, from the draft day, I mean, it was just listen, I did like the Mekhi Becton trade pick, and, I understand where Joe Douglas and Adam Gase are coming from. And I mean, here was the thing. Joe Douglas and Adam Gase even said this together, and luckily, thank God, Adam Gase did not interfere with Joe Douglas with the whole thing with the draft. But the thing, hopefully now with the Mekhi Becton thing, I mean, I understand where they were coming from because they definitely wanted a big offensive lineman, and they even said in their conference call that was the player that they wanted in the first round. I mean, listen, if it was the thing, I would have been also really happy if we took CeeDee Lamb, but you know what?
Yeah.
Joe Douglas made the safest decision by picking Mekhi Becton.
Dude, it was funny because we were doing the live show, and I was like, at 11, I'm like, you know what? You can make a case here to trade back and still get the guy you want. Like, if you really wanted Lamb or somebody like that, or like, say, a Judy or, a Ruggs went early, but like, if you really want him, you could say, you know what? We could trade back 3 spots, get some more draft picks, and still get Lamb. They could have did that. Like,
yeah.
They had some wiggle room there to do some things. But again, I'm not complaining about the approach they took. But now it's like, I just want more weapons around Sam, and I'm hoping Mims plays out. Man, I hope he's great, and it's a piece for the future and everything else, and just keep growing with it, man. I mean, it's just like the things about the draft. Like we truly don't know. Like to give a grade now is we don't know for 3 years what we have. You mean like the first year you're gonna say okay, they did okay, and then like next year you're like it's gonna take 2 or 3 years to figure it out. But hopefully, for the sake of Joe Douglas, these guys we at least get like 3 contributors, at least 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and the thing is that what I'm hoping for is that like last year, Quentin Williams had a tough rookie season last year. Hopefully this year he'll definitely be better. Hopefully this year. I mean, listen, one of the things now here was the thing that was interesting. Now the last pick that the Jets ended up having was before they made that trade with Indianapolis to get Quincy Wilson. What were your thoughts on the Jets getting the punter from Texas A&M?
Why not? Can't hurt, dude. He's the best in the country. Why not? It's a hole. They didn't re-sign Locke Edwards. Worth a shot, man. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's at that point, who cares? I mean, you don't expect much from your late round picks anyway. But if you can get a guy, it's a hole. It's a hole on our team, and Brant Boyer is highly respected in terms of special teams coach. If he sees something, go for it. It can't hurt, dude. Bring competition in and see what happens. That kicker, you know what I mean? Like you can never have it. Just bring in 2 or 3 and try them all out and see what happens.
Yeah. So, and then of course, all the Jets fans were talking about, when that guy from the Saints got released, Larry Warford, I think I said his name right.
Yep.
Would you love to get him here on the Jets, Tyson? Because I know you would love to get him here. Because I mean, the guy's a 3-time Pro Bowler.
He is, but here's the question though: if you look at the way Joe Douglas has been handling his draft or his offensive line, he likes those more versatile guys, the athletic guys that can move around more. Does Warford fit that mix? Hopefully he does. It's like the price tag is fine. He's a Pro Bowl guy, and what you can do is, and the people worry about the money. The money can be found. You cut Brian Winters. I mean, you want Warford, you cut Brian Winters. There's your player. I
think what needs to happen is, I really, 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 really think what needs to happen is that's another player that the Jets do need to let go of. And let's say if they would get the guy who was just released by New Orleans, you got to let Brian Winters go. And honestly, I would have no problem if the Jets decided to move on for Brian Winters.
Dude, I'm a Brian Winters fan. The guy just can't stay healthy. And his problem is he always plays hurt. Like he'll be hurt and not say anything. He keeps kind of work through it, but it's like he can't stay healthy. He makes a lot of money, and it's like, listen, this is what it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like we gotta just, if you could upgrade the position and see, to be honest with you, that should be the mantra for the rest of this offseason. If you can find an upgrade wherever it is, you do it. This team is like so many players away from being a very, very good team. Keep doing it. I mean, like I want Marcus Golden. If you want Warford, get him too. That's fine. Like do it all. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, here is the thing, though. Right now, what everybody is all saying in the off season, most of the times it doesn't really happen. Like, listen, some people actually can say, okay, the Jets this year will actually be better. Some people say the Jets will surprise. But the thing is that, our division this year is definitely going to be very interesting because right now, everybody is all praising on Buffalo right now, okay? Like, everyone is all praising on Buffalo.
Well, they went to the playoffs last year, dude. They're a year ahead of us. They're in the rebuild process. They're a year ahead of us, and they've had more success, and they have a winning product right now.
I mean, listen. Well, you always got to see, if Buffalo's going to repeat the season that they had last year. Always got to see what happens.
They got better players, dude. They got freaking Stephon Diggs. I mean, they're like, to me, they're a year ahead, dude. They keep adding pieces around Josh Allen the way the Jets should have been doing around Sam Darnold. They did what the Jets should be doing. And I hate saying it, dude. I hate the Bills, but it's just being honest.
No, listen. They definitely did. But I mean, we always, you just got to see too if Stephon Diggs is going to fit in with Josh Allen.
Yeah, but dude, they got so much talent on offense, man. They got speedsters everywhere. You got Singletary, the explosive running back. I mean, they got talent, dude. And I think the X factor for them, their defense is going to be great. They got playmakers everywhere. If Josh Allen can elevate his game and keep playing well, they're going to be a tough team, man. And then you figure, everybody's discounting the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have a lot of talent too, man. They had a lot of young talent. They're adding playmakers. They're going to be pretty well coached. They're going to be competitive. And the Patriots are the Patriots, man. Until somebody knocks them off their stool, I'm not, I think they're going to get another veteran quarterback. I'm not buying this Jared Stidham thing, but they're going to be tough too, man. Nothing's going to be easy for the Jets this year.
No, I know. I mean, that's why we got to compete this year, and we got to be healthy.
No, dude, I agree. And that's the whole thing, dude. We can't have 1,000 injuries this year either. I don't know what happened last year, but it can't happen this year.
No, I know. That is always also the big concern, too. And it's not only for the Jets, Bills, Dolphins, and Patriots, but it's for all the other teams in the NFL. I mean, that's always the biggest concern when training camp is there.
Dude, listen, Steve, the injuries are part of the game. The Jets led the NFL. It wasn't even close last year in injuries. They were dropping like flies, dude. I don't know what the hell they were eating or doing or practicing, but, dude, it was insane. That was crazy last year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's just,
they got to stay healthy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the only other thing is that, when everybody all talks about like what happened like with Sam Darnold and all that stuff, listen, Sam Darnold in his first 2 years he's already been through much. I mean, his rookie season, he had the ankle injury that he missed a few games for, and then the following year after week 1, when we had that dreadful loss on opening day against Buffalo, I mean, that loss always still bites me so bad. And I mean, after that was when he was diagnosed with the mono. I mean, Sam has been through a lot first 2 years. I mean, the guy's going to be 23 next month, so hopefully he'll finally be able to finish a 16-game regular season.
Yeah, dude. He's been through a lot, some unfortunate stuff with the mono, but he's got to play better. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to play better. He's got to make better decisions with the football. That's period. He's just got to get better, dude. You can't take bad sacks. You can't throw the ball away when you're falling down, and he's just got to elevate his game. And that's part of a progression of a young quarterback. That's what he has. That's what every quarterback goes through. He's got to go through that path now.
Yeah, no, I guess the other thing now I was going to say was because Sam Darnold mentioned this the other day. I think it was yesterday he mentioned this, and then, with the whole thing of COVID-19 going around, let's say, Tyson, if the NFL season starts on time, how would you feel watching a football game with no fans in the stadium?
That wouldn't bother me at all. I mean, I watched the UFC last night. They had no fans there. I mean, it is what it is, dude. Listen, everybody loves sports, but at the end of the day, we gotta be safe, man. You can't risk the lives of others because we want to watch sports. So if they can play games at an empty stadium, great. At least we can watch games. I'm happy with that. It is what it is. You know what I mean? There's more to life than sitting in the football stadium. If that means saving lives and keeping us all healthy, then so be it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, listen, and listen, we always got to see what happens in this season coming up. I mean, listen, and then we just got to see what happens, with our division this year. Because here's the thing, the whole entire AFC East division this year is going to be very, very interesting, and we're going to see how it pans out.
All right, Steve, we almost talked about an hour. What is the best way for anybody who doesn't follow you on Twitter? What is the best way for everybody to follow you?
You guys want to follow me on Twitter? All you have to do is you can find me. I have no problem talking about the Jets with you. You can find me at Gangrene Stevo 1992. And you can just find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook as well, Steve Trani. And hopefully, for those of you guys who listen to this call today, with myself and Tyson, hopefully I'll hear from you soon.
Steve, thank you for your time. I'm glad that we don't have a beef. I want to make sure we're friends here and everything. So thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Hopefully, you're safe. All the Jets fans are safe, from where they are. Hopefully this upcoming year will hopefully be a very good season for the Jets. So we'll see what happens.
Steve, have a good day, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Tyson. Bye-bye.
All right. See, that was our very popular caller, Steve. And as you guys can tell, I did not fight with him. I did not argue with him. I just didn't listen. Let him talk some football. Listen, we're all fans. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. So if you like what you heard, message us. We'll get back to everybody we can. We just want to get different fans have a platform and share their takes on the team, about their memories of the team and everything else. So I will talk to you guys next time.